What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dog Benfica podcast. Podcast number 150. It's quite an historic number, and to celebrate that type of historic number, we have a friend of ours here for the first time here in the studio with us, or rather, Stade de Luz with us. I'll start by introducing him. Américo, also known as Canija.
Thanks very much. My pleasure to be here at the stadium. Nossa Catedral.
and Chris is also sporting a new do or a hat or whatever that is.
Olá! Como é que é? Tudo bem?
And kind of the most sane person at this podcast, Steve Santos. What's going on, brother?
Not a hell of a lot. It's getting warmer, you know. You guys are probably going to the luge this weekend, and I'm extremely jealous. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. There's room, bro. There's definitely enough room for you to come and join us, Steve. I know all the Benfica podcast females and Peggy will all be at Stade de Luz if we found out you were to come this weekend.
Yeah. Book your flights, or better yet, pay for mine. How's that sound?
Yo, listen, I'm going on the behalf of Benfica podcast funds. You know what I mean? You're more than welcome to come, brother.
Anyway, you are listening to the Talking to the Dog Benfica podcast, the only English-spoken podcast about Benfica.
Number one, baby.
Weekly episodes every week. You could tune us in both on YouTube and iTunes and all that good stuff. So let's get that out of the way. On tonight's agenda, podcast number 150, as I've said, we'll recap the Aroca game, and we'll look forward to this weekend's fixture against Braga. Huge, crucial game against Braga. Let's get right into the Aroca game. I'll give you the lineup real quick. Júlio César, Maxi, Luizão, Jardel, and Eliseu were in defense. Samaris and Pizzi in the middle. Salvio, Gaetan, Jonas, and Lima. So Júlio César returns and goes straight to goal, Steve.
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt in any Benfica's mind that he's the better keeper of the two. I found it pretty interesting that Jesus wouldn't give out the information on why he chose Júlio César over Artur after the game in the press conference. I think it's quite obvious. Júlio César's much better with his feet. He instills a lot of confidence in the back line that Artur, be it that he was actually quite good while Júlio César was gone, just doesn't have the same presence that Júlio César has.
Bro, Steve, it's pretty easy to me. The guy's a better goalkeeper. Not only is he a better goalkeeper with tons of more experience, we are all pretty sure, okay, that we know what happens here behind the scenes and stuff like that. When this dude signed his contract was with one intention and one intention only, which was to play and to start. So, barring any injuries, this guy's going to play no matter what. And to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, anybody else?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think he should have waited a little bit more.
You think so?
I think so.
Why?
Because the guy he's been playing the last couple of games, he's playing well. Wait another game, at least when you play home and put him
Nah, Mizzou guys, listen, he only played because Júlio César got hurt.
Well,
that's the only reason why he played. It wasn't due to Júlio César's poor performances or anything like that.
Benfica did well with the other guy the last time.
No, I thought he did too. I don't think he'd let us down. But, Júlio César is the man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
But today I was thinking it wouldn't be too bad if JJ decided to put him on final of the League Cup, and meaning Artur Moraes against Porto, whoever we're going to play in the final League Cup. I'd like to see that. I think that would be a good reward. But looking at the lineup and heading right into the game, we talked about the guys that were in danger of missing the game against Braga, and absolutely no savings by JJ, Steve. Everybody onto the game. JJ is not leaving anything to chance. We need to win the first game that comes up, and the first game that come up is Aroca, and there's no such thing as saving and thinking about the game next week. You got to do what's in front of you.
Absolutely. I said before the game on last week's podcast that I didn't expect him to actually save anybody. In recent history, he's never actually done it. It's funny, the guy that nobody really cared if he was going to get a yellow to be suspended or not was the one who did. Mr. Talisca won't be playing against Braga. And to be honest, is he really going to be... I guess he could have scored a free kick or something like that. He might come in handy in that way, but the way he's dwindled down in his performances, although he was actually not too bad against Aroca, Talisca's not that big of a miss.
Yeah. And Cristiano, we go down 1-0. Where have we seen this movie before? Go down 1-0, playing up north against a team that plays defensively in a small pitch, a pitch where we can't widen it up and leave it up to the talent of Salvio to make things happen, and the talent of Gaetan to make things happen. And all of a sudden we're down 1-0, going to the half 1-0, and it's just a bad situation.
No, it was. Things got a little bit ugly, a little bit nervous, but you know what? I give them credit. In this game, unlike other games where I've criticized them, and you guys all sit here week in, week out, and I'm as good as criticizing people as anyone out there. But this time, I really couldn't, because Benfica really put the pressure on them. They created plenty of chances, and they just could have capitalized. You know what I mean? I give Jorge Jesus credit for noticing the fact that, you know what, we needed to go forward a little bit more, create a couple more chances, because we could not come away without the 3 points here. He made a substitution and taking out Samaris, bringing in Talisca. I don't know. I mean, to me, that was the same.
That's a guy. You guys don't like Talisca for some bizarre reason.
It's all Steve's fault.
No, we liked Talisca while he was scoring.
I think the guy was when he came in at the time. I think Benfica started creating more chances. We actually had the game not too soon after he came into the pitch. I think also not only him, and then you guys the Samaris, he also got sub. Yeah, Samaris got sub. Pizzi got sub also. So both midfielders got sub this week. And after that, Benfica actually started playing. Don't mean that it was the same team against last game's Estoril. It was the same team, but different games. I think this time.
It's a different game altogether.
It's a different game. So this time they. That means that's a good thing. That means whatever you got on the bench is enough to.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got faith in the guys that he has on the bench. But Steve, explain to everybody the whole change of Talisca for Samaris at the half. Obviously for offensive reasons, but there's a lot more to that than just the obvious reason.
Well, if you watch the first half, Benfica was struggling really to play like the ball on the ground, play good football, because the pitch was very dry, the grass was really high, and there was a struggle to really combine with just short passes and whatnot. And with Talisca, you have the opportunity to play the long switch, because Talisca actually strikes a ball very, very well. He plays a long ball well. He's got that technique in the left foot that he's got that down. He's definitely good at that. And then by removing Samaris when you're down 1-0, Aroca's not going to be coming at you anymore. You don't really necessarily need a defensive-minded Trinco anymore. You need to impose yourself more on the game. That's why JJ goes with 2 8s instead of a 6 and an 8. And there's never really that anchor guy anymore. And we're just trying to suffocate Aroca a little bit more. What I found interesting was Ruben Amorim and how much he only comes in for a few minutes, but is that a warm-up for next weekend, or was it just to shut the game down? I'd like to see how that pans out.
I think he's just giving Amorim as much time as possible. That's, and right now, I think that it maybe would have been premature to bring him any earlier than the 80th minute. I thought that Talisca brought a little intensity onto the pitch, and Steve, you might have mentioned also that Talisca is a guy that does well carrying the ball from a deeper position, something that perhaps Samaris is not doing all that well. And like you said, we didn't need an anchor anymore, so it was the proper move. But to me, I was really impressed by Chris. I was really impressed by the intensity that Talisca brought onto the game. I mean, the guy was defending. He was making tackles. He was defending on set pieces on the first post. Really, I mean, the guy knew what he had to do.
Oh, you asked? Oh, I thought you listen, the guy understands.
I think that ball's a little too tight on your head.
I don't think the guy's a dumb dude by any stretch of the imagination, and I think he understands that he's lost his position here to Pizzi over the last couple of weeks, and he knows that he's going to have to do a little bit extra on the pitch in order for Jorge Jesus to really trust in him and give him some type of playing time. And I'm glad he took that rather than just sit there and sulk and pout about it and bitch about it. He came out and he performed, and he obviously, in this one particular game, he added a little bit something extra that Benfica were missing in the midfield.
Yeah. So Benfica turns it around. I mean, I think 2 miscues by the goalie. The first one is really obvious that he it looked like something Artur Moraes would do. Kick the ball off of Lima's back, and then Jonas got the ball and he just put it away. And the second one, I don't know if it's as much as a fault of his. I mean, it's a point blank shot by Jonas on a play that was an insistent play by Gaetan. He went to the corner, got the cross off. Jonas with a nice deft touch to get away from the defender, blasts a left shot. A left-footed shot, the goalkeeper saves it, and then Lima just puts it away. I think that it doesn't get much better than that, but I don't think you could blame the goalie on that second one, even though some people might say that that was an incomplete save. But nonetheless, we turned it around. And look, the team and the atmosphere around the field, they called it a mini Stadio de Luz because there were so many Benfiquistas there. But Americo, at this point, the supporters, you have to think that the supporters are carrying this team. Luizão came out and said that he felt the support from the fans at the field.
Absolutely, and there's no doubt when Benfica was plays up north. There's no doubt the majority of the spectators they're Benfica fans. There's no doubt, and they feel it at this point. I think Benfica, if they don't lose, if you maintain this gap between Porto till we play them, I think we gotta go to Ferro Street and celebrate.
Ferry Street.
You know what I mean?
For those of you that don't know, Ferry Street is a well-known Portuguese avenue here in Newark.
And our friend is invited. Steve Santos
that's
is
where
invited.
the party's at, man.
That's where anytime there's a celebration, that's where they celebrate at Ferry Street.
Sporting hasn't celebrated there in a long time. When Portisa celebrates, only a handful. When Benfica celebrates, forget about it. And then when the national team celebrates, I mean, it's pretty impressive. You're talking about thousands and thousands of people on the street, females. And for those females that are interested in males, plenty of males as well. Just a whole bunch of partying. It's a great time. I believe I posted some videos of the Portuguese national team on Twitter, but for some reason they've been deleted ever since. But yeah, it's great times, and you're right. Hopefully we will be out there celebrating. But you know what? We before we look at Porto, when we start worrying about this gap, most importantly right now we need to look at Braga. This is a team that's been able to get in our cookie jar. And they do it pretty easily, it seems. I mean, they knocked us out of the Taça. They were the first team to beat us in the Portuguese Campeonato, Portuguese Liga. So, I mean, I think this game coming up this weekend is crucial, man. And I don't mean to jump ahead because we're still talking about this one game, but to me, thinking about being champion right now is a little bit too early.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crucial 3 points, especially after Porto had won their game. We needed to come away. And the way that the game was developing, I didn't see things too well, but the team came out with the right attitude in the second half, and that was something that we needed to see. And the team is really focused on winning the rest of the games. They're not taking any games for granted and just taking it one game at a time, keeping the distance. And going into that Porto game, I even believe that this team will win. If they don't need the 3 points, I think the team will be nice and focused.
We'll see what happens. We saw what happened with Jorge Jesus and the formation and the tactics that he implemented when we went to José Alvalade. So, I mean, we never know what goes on in Jorge Jesus' mind. But right now, most important thing is about the next game is the very most important game. And to answer your question that you put out before regarding the fans, I mean, there's a reason why Benfica is the biggest club in Portugal. It's very simple. Yeah. I mean, everywhere they go, not just in Portugal. I mean, you talk about throughout European competitions, whether it's the Europa League, the Champions League, and when they go out on friendlies throughout preseason, this team constantly packs stadiums, okay? And, it just goes to show you that I'm this other club, man, and I'm proud to be Benfiquista each week. Every time I see this and I see these spectators come out and support this club in this way, I mean, it gets me excited. I can just imagine what it does to the players on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was something that I retweeted. Check my timeline. There was an article, and I forget where the article came out, and it was Jardel saying that when they're on the field, it's very hard to hear around them. They can't even hear themselves sometimes. That it's so loud, and it almost feels like the whole place is shaking around them. They have a hard time listening to JJ, and I don't know if that could be a good thing sometimes. But check my timeline. I retweeted something earlier from somebody, and I apologize for not remembering their name and to give them credit for the retweet. But there was just an article, I think it might have been either a Bola or Record, where Jardel talks about the support. and all the noise around the stadium when they play. That's quite incredible. It must be quite something. Anyway, I think that's about it. We're going to move into next segment. Actually, something that's grown with some popularity, which is Nelson's segment. We want to see if you guys could suggest some names for Nelson's segment. Something that we can name this segment. All right. So here's Nelson this week with a segment. Enjoy.
Em segundo ou em terceiro, mas também é preciso saber defender, é preciso saber estar quando se está em primeiro.
Lima seems to be back in form for the Eagles as he nets 2 goals and bagged an assist over the weekend. Lima now has 12 goals in the league, and that's only second to the Colombian Jackson Martinez. And unsurprisingly, that's only 3 off Silmani and Montero's joint goal tally. In the modalidad, Nelson Évora became the European champion in the triple jump. And in volleyball, Benfica won the Taça de Portugal on Sunday. They defeated Sport Club Espinho in 3 straight sets, 25-20, 25-19, and 25-14. Great job to them.
Deixa o Talisca jogar, deixa o Talisca jogar, você, deixa o Talisca jogar.
Well, Talisca não vai jogar, at least not for the Braga game. Benfica face Braga this coming weekend, with the only absence being Anderson Talisca. This should be one of the real final tests for Benfica before the end of the season. Steven Vitória makes his first start for the Philadelphia Union and gets a clean sheet in the process. They drew with the Colorado Rapids. He seems to be fitting in well for the man on loan from Benfica. Thanks for listening, guys, and that's all for this week.
Shake it up, shake it up.
It was all good until the end. Oh man.
Come on, Steve. You're not gonna play that on one of your vinyls?
For those of you that don't know what the triple jump, that means that the guy could cross the street stepping only once in the middle of the street. So one step in the middle, and then to the other sidewalk.
I used to do that.
I used to do that as a kid too.
In the game in the Olympic game on Nintendo. I used to be able to do that. Way back in the days. I just said Nintendo, so that pretty much gives out my age.
Wait, which Nintendo? The N64? The Wii?
No. Serious, bro?
The one with the plastic?
No, the very
plastic
first one
case?
was Atari, and then it moved to Nintendo. So that goes to show you how long ago that
the
was.
one with the duck game?
That was Nintendo, Duck Hunt, and Super Mario Brothers. That was Nintendo.
All right, but then there was Nintendo 64.
Yeah, then there was like the souped up versions, but that originally it was Nintendo. Atari to Nintendo. Goal. That was still the greatest soccer game of all time. Goal for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
No, Steve?
No.
All right.
No?
So, yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for the name of Nelson's little segment that he does, I was thinking about Lucindo's Lash, but if you guys can think about something smarter than that.
Lucindo's Lash?
Lucindo's Lash, because it's like something so quick, it's like a lash.
Nelson's Happy Hour.
Nelson's Happy Hour. Nelson's Happy
Not
Minute.
an hour.
Whatever. I was talking to this guy next to me. I wasn't keeping time.
Anyway, turning our attention now to Braga. Benfica will host Braga this Saturday, 5 p.m. local. Braga is currently 4th, 14 wins, 4 ties, and 6 losses. Away, their record is 5 wins, 3 ties, and 4 losses. They have the 3rd best defense overall in the league. They are a team that has beaten us twice this season, Cristiano.
Yep. Did you know that Braga in Spanish means cuecas, means underwear?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that every time I think about this game coming up, and then you guys tweet about that other podcast in Spanish, I wonder what they referred to Braga this weekend, because obviously they're talking about cuecas all day long.
We're talking about Atlantica Mint.
That's what it is, right?
That's the pod.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Wait.
You had to drop the Quackers line in there. You forgot.
Yeah, I had to. I forgot. I saw cuecas.
You start thinking about cuecas. That's it. It's all over.
Picture cuecas.
No, I was telling you, Braga is beating Benfica
Yes,
twice.
yeah, and I mentioned that before. Braga beat his first loss of the season, at their place, and they came out to lose that infamous game that I'm still pretty upset about. That our ex, or I should say my ex-boy, Enzo Perez, decided that he must be subbed off at halftime. Benfica had a 1-0 lead. And then obviously in the second half, they gave up the lead, and we were knocked out of the Taça, so there goes our chance for our triplete. So, yeah, Braga, this is a team that plays us very tough. They're very well coached, and a guy that I absolutely can't stand, a former Porquista, Sergio Conceição. I know the ladies out there might be disagreeing with me, but you know what? This is not a looks contest. This is a soccer contest. And that being said, I can't stand the guy. So they're going to come up with a lot of intensity, and they know that if they're able to come away with the 3 points here against Benfica, man, that the tournament that the championship at least between Benfica and Porto is up for grabs, and they're going to do everything to help their northern brothers out.
Yeah, and Americo. I look back at the past couple games that Benfica played Braga. In both games, Benfica was up 1-0, and Braga turned it around and they finished the game 2-1 on both games. What do you make of that? You think that the mental aspect right now for Benfica, you think Benfica is really hesitant about this game, thinking that Braga's got the number?
No, I don't think so. Braga is a tough team every time. When you play them, at least we play them in their field. They're home tough. Braga is a tough team. What did I think about Braga is, like Chris said, is the coaches. The coach is a Portista guy.
It's not the Quakers?
They're gonna. The team Braga team is gonna come on top of us at home next week, like to kill us, because that. If you guys look at the game the other day, the first half, Pedro Manuel, another guy.
Yeah.
Pedro, ex-Portista player. Very tactical first half. They were up 1-0. They complicated us. The game that we saw last week against Estoril. You see the game against Aroca, the first half. I mean, what do you make of that? It was a different team. Why is that? This guy came up with a defense system. He blocks us for the wings. He blocks our midfield.
Yeah.
So against Braga is going to we got to be prepared to play against this team in any position, and mental. Jorge Jesus has got to do a hell of the work this week by preparing the players for this next game.
As long as as long as what's his name, Eder Umanco.
Eder's not playing.
Eder won't play. No,
he's lost his spot.
He's lost his spot.
But he'll still get called up to the national team by Fernando Santos.
Yeah. And Steve, quite a different. I mean, you look back at these teams, the past couple teams that played against Braga, and on the first game that we played at the Pedreira, Jonas came in the 62nd minute for Tamaris. Talisca was still in there, and the second game that we played on the Portuguese Cup, we went up into the locker room. Then JJ took out. Enzo and put in Pizzi. So some say that might have been an arrogant move by him. But Steve, we go into this game quite a different team from the team that's played Braga twice and lost twice.
Absolutely, the team's evolved a lot from that point. You got Samaris, who is, as we say almost every week, are easily our most improved player. It's funny you mentioned Jonas, because I think Jonas since that time he's really come to a point where he's incorporating a lot better with the side. I mean, the obvious ability that the guy had was there for everybody to see, but now you see Jonas really helping the team build their attacks. The way he comes off his markers and it gives the midfielder an option to pass the ball, and when he receives that ball, his intelligence and his depth touch really just allow him to open up other avenues where before he was just kind of showing you glimpses of that nice touch he'd have. He'd beat a guy 1v1 and then he might lose it or whatnot, but right now he's really in tune with what the team is doing. So the difference from the Benfica that played versus Braga the past two games is very, very different. It's a completely different team in some ways, just based on how much we've evolved and how much better we could actually play football. Because in those days we were winning but not convincing, and week in, week out we were complaining that the team would win a game but it would never have a more convincing performance. But since then we've had quite a few.
Yeah. And Cristiano, Planet Benfica just tweeted at us that Braga just played Porto, and they had a different attitude against Porto than us. Do you agree with that statement, that they will come to us with a different attitude?
Bro, I think I've been saying this, for the last 20 years. it seems to me that teams, when they go out and play against Benfica, those guys fall on studs, man. You know what I mean?
That's
Then when they play against Sporting and Porto, it's like they don't even put forth the effort. And we all know why, man, because everybody understands in Portugal that when you play Benfica, for lack of a better word, it's their Super Bowl. They know that everyone in the country will be watching that game, and these players want to prove themselves against Benfica because they know everyone will be watching. And if you could perform against Benfica, you could perform against anyone else. And I think that has a lot to do with it, man. Believe it or not, when you have the chance to go out and knock out the champion, you give it that extra effort. Because there's not many times, not many chances you get to go up against the champion. And when you can knock him off the pedestal, you do everything you can.
And Braga can actually, if Braga beat Benfica again, they can actually say that they're the only team that beat Benfica 3 times, or every time they played Benfica this year. So, I mean, every team gets up to play Benfica. I think the northern teams, they play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, or maybe a big chip on their shoulders to play against Benfica, because it's always the north against south type of deal, and especially the teams that kind of have connections with Porto.
That's
key.
That's key.
Yeah.
So and listen, to go back to that Porto Braga game, I think anyone who saw it saw that Porto was helped out a little bit, and I don't think anyone listening to this podcast right now is shocked by just one bit that Porto was helped out in the game. So it is what it is, man. I think Sergio Conceição, this is a guy that has his Porto roots. He's got the Porto in his blood. He's gonna do everything he can to help out his former club, because they absolutely can't stand Benfica. That being said, that's what I love about games like this: the fact that we're gonna go out there and not just beat up on Braga, hopefully, but you know what? Hopefully we shut down the anti-Benfiquistas, because that's all it is in Portugal. Either Benfiquista or you're an anti. There's no Portistas Sportingistas. You're anti. That's all it is.
So, America, let me ask you this question: how do we approach this game? Do we approach this game to play to win or play not to lose?
Now we play. I'm sure the Jorge Jesus is going to go with the system. They're going to, on top of that, we play at home and in front of our own fans. I'm very sure the stadium is going to be packed. Also, we're going to play to win. We can afford to lose points. The players, the mentality of the players, they know we can. And like we said before, this team already beat us twice this year. They're not gonna get the third time. I'm positive of that. Benfica is gonna go and smack them.
I think Benfica is gonna come out, very careful. I think Jorge Jesus is going to put out a lineup, like Steve mentioned before. I would not be surprised if Ruben Amorim makes an appearance in the starting lineup. Another Andre Almeida, because Benfica, he's shown. I mean, the last couple of games where Benfica's kind of had some type of pressure on him. What's he done?
What's he
done?
I think he will change one guy only.
Who do you think he'll change?
He will put Talisca in the game.
No,
Talisca can't play.
Yo, get the Super Walk away from him.
No, but that's because Steve doesn't like Talisca.
By the way, for those of you wondering why I got the Super Walk on my forehead, I got a couple of tweets of you guys talking about we're drinking Super Walk. I guess we're not supposed to be drinking Super Walk here on the Benfica podcast.
Timo, because I think we Sagres.
Who cares? Who was it that made the hilarious tweet?
I think
who made the hilarious?
Oh, it's Sagres.
I think.
Sagres.
Bad choice, but the beer was brought by our guest, and he didn't know any better.
And he might have had a couple in the car because he thinks Talisca's playing this weekend. So,
ouch. But
that's because Steve is a big fan of Talisca. So, let me. But I got something to tell you too about our left back. We got the worst. We got the worst left back. You don't talk about the game that we conceded last game. Jesus, guy, you can't do that, dude. As a professional, you cannot allow the guy to do a defender to do that. And this guy, no, man.
He made that kid look like a superstar for sure.
Jesus Christ.
The first mistake was leaving him on side by he was meters behind the rest of the back line. In the box, the cute touch around him.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful finish.
I could give the kid that. He did. Sporting player. He had the buzz. He was happy. That's fine. I'll give him that.
He was a tremendous goal.
Elizeo never should let him be onside. That's what it comes down to.
Oh yeah, because he meant to.
Because he's a loser.
Let's hope he not play against Braga.
Fez a esquerda do campeão, do glorioso. He's a loser. Come on.
Yeah, he's awful.
All right, let's talk about how we approach this game as far as starting 11. Steve, I don't think that he will go with the same approach the Sporting game. What do you think? Meaning taking out Pizzi and putting in a more guy that's solid defensively, but a guy that really can't give us a lot going forward in Almeida? What do you think, dude?
My gut says that he is going to play Pizzi. But if he doesn't, I could see why he doesn't. If he plays in Amorim, which he's probably nowhere near fit enough to play against Braga. Braga's a 1v1, very physical, very tough side. It's not a game for Amorim. So
he's also Amorim is also a guy that's very familiar with Braga.
Yeah, but Braga's it's changed to an extent. I don't think it's Amorim. Right now, I think it's a toss-up between Almeida and Pizzi. Aside from that, you're going to see your regular 11 that he plays in, week out. I just think Braga's a team that does not like to have the ball. They are perfectly fine if you have the ball and they can hit you on the counterattack. So
Jorge Jesus has shown that he likes to do that too. We did it against Porto, we did it against Sporting.
Exactly. So which way is he going to take it?
I think he's.
I think at home you have to show initiative, like Americo said. You're at home, you have to take the game to Braga. That's why I think if he doesn't play Pizzi, he's gonna have the fans on his back right away. It's not a good sign for the team. My guess is he plays Pizzi. If he doesn't play Pizzi, I understand why he's not, because you kind of want to invite Braga onto you to see if you could isolate a Salvi or a Gaetan or even a Jonas 1v1, because they're gonna be very compact. You're gonna have almost like a midfield five. They play with that young kid at Trinku, Danilu.
He's a good player.
For 19 years old, the guy looks like 25, 26 years old. He's a fantastic player. You got the intensity of Tiba. You have the dirtiness and the sometimes plays decent football of Ruben Mikael. And then you have Rafa, who closes the midfield up on the left side as well. So they pack the midfield really, really heavy. Their outball is always on the right wing, whether it's Pardo or that Santos kid. We'll have to see. I hope he goes with Pizzi to show initiative, but I will not be surprised if he does not.
I don't know. I'm with you, Steve. I think that to play Almeida, and Chris, I'll ask you that, what you think. To play Almeida at Stade de Luz is showing, I mean, you're playing your own stadium and you're playing in a defensive formation?
Listen, I agree. I hope that Benfica come forward. I hope that they put out a very attacking formation, a very attacking lineup, and create chances, because, like you've mentioned, we are the champions and they're playing at home, and I think they absolutely, the responsibility is on them to come away with the 3 points here. But I've just seen Jorge Jesus in too many games. I mean, I could go over, even last year and the year before. Every time it comes to one of these very tough games, he comes up with some type of substitution, with a tactical change that leaves us all scratching our heads. I mean, majority of them have worked. Okay, fine, but I'm just mentioning the fact that I would not be surprised. Not saying he will come out with Andre Almeida, but just saying don't be surprised if you were to make that change.
Yeah. I think the biggest key perhaps for Benfica, and as Steve mentioned, Braga is a team that relies solely on quick counters and exploiting teams' transitions. The lack of balance that teams show when they go from an offensive transition to a defensive transition, that's something that Braga exploits, and that's something that we got to really pay attention. I really don't know if Pizzi has it in him at this point to understand and to balance out the defensive transition. To me, that's the biggest thing. Now, is there another guy to put in that 8 position? I think Amorim would probably be a good choice. But like Steve says, nowhere near to be fit to play this Braga team that's very intense, Steve.
Absolutely. So it's a toss-up what he ends up doing. If you play Almeida, you get the defensive intensity that you need. If he plays Pizzi, it shows a lot of faith in him. It shows that Jesus is comfortable with how much he's matured over the past couple of months. And that would be fantastic for all Benfiquistas, and that's what we want to see. But it's up in the air. I'm not 100% sure he's going to go that route, because you have to remember that there is a certain player that Jesus might feel will balance out Almeida playing, and that'll be Gaetan. Because against Sporting we had nothing going forward. We had no Gaetan. We had Ola John, who had a terrible game. We had Jonas, that was pretty much disconnected because William Carvalho had a hell of a game. So is he going to see, well, now I have Gaetan back, and I will have a guy who can transport the game, that little bit of creativity, the dribbling, all the things that Gaetan brings to the table. Will he see that and say, you know what, maybe I can risk not playing Pizzi and be a little bit more stable, a little bit more aware of what Braga can do on the counter with Almeida around?
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I'm a bit surprised. I think, Jorge Jesus, he got the same team the last couple of games. I think he will become with Pizzi, like Steve said, Pizzi and Samaris in the midfield.
Yeah.
He will play the same team. Well, besides and the goal, he will be.
He'll play his.
Yeah,
we're trying to say he'll play his strongest lineup.
He'll play the stronger lineup, which he works. The team is prepared to win big games. Sometimes the thing is, sometimes there's soccer is you have a good game. Sometimes you got bad games. I think Jorge Jesus will put the strongest that he has, available to put together 3 points against Braga.
Yeah, no, I agree that he's got to play the strongest lineup.
If he plays Almeida, Jonas or Lima will drop a little bit, and then he plays only one forward. So he can afford to play with 2 guys on the front against Braga.
Bro, I'm not even going to ask the same question I asked before, which was, Benfica in that game against Sporting hadn't played Almeida in a couple of weeks, and when you guys threw out the fact that Almeida might be able to play in this game, I said, I don't know if this guy will play due to the fact he hasn't played much lately, but at some point he has to get playing time. So I was totally taken back when he started the game against Sporting. And I'll say it again here. I mean, how are you going to throw this guy into the starting lineup when he hasn't really played much in the last couple of games? And all of a sudden you're throwing him into a huge game when you have, PZ, who's obviously has grown throughout the year, playing alongside somebody is another player that's grown, that's picked up his game throughout the year. These guys are getting acclimated to playing with one another, and all of a sudden you're going to make a drastic change in that and subbing one of these guys off for a more defensive player just in case you get caught on a counter?
Well, Jesus has been known to invent things in matches like this.
Exactly.
Like you said before. So
that's why I mentioned it.
That's why it's all up in the air, really. Look, that's for me the most interesting part of this match is who he decides to play next to Samaris, because that will just really decide or really show his cards. It's really going to show what he wants to do in the match, depending who he plays there. It's funny you guys both mentioned Lima and Jonas just a few seconds ago. Did you know? And I'm going to give you a little bit of ammo against my Saviola versus Jonas battle. Lima and Jonas have now equaled Cardozo and Saviola's best year in terms of goals.
Okay, what's that mean? They just equaled with 10 games remaining. What are you trying to say?
Well, that gives you a lot of credit in thinking that Jonas thinks is better than Saviola.
I said that.
Trying to give you credit.
I didn't understand what you were trying to say.
We all know that Cardozo is better than Lima.
As far as in the box, yes, absolutely.
As far as in the box, but that's another thing that prior when we played Braga the past 2 times, this Jonas Lima's partnership was nowhere near what it is now as well.
And you have to give credit to Lima, dude. This is a guy that, he started scoring now, but obviously he missed that game against that penalty against Paço Ferreira. A lot of pressure on him. But the one thing that this guy does not stop, which is week in, week out, he puts out his best effort. He hustles. He gets in behind the defenders. He pressures. And I watched that this weekend, man. And I say, and this was actually throughout the first half where I saw this. And I said, I got to give this guy credit because he's had plenty of chances. Benfica's tried, obviously brought in Jonas and brought in Derlane, brought in different options. This guy could have very easily given up, and he hasn't. And so, I actually have to tip my cap to this dude because, he's been a total professional, and now he's seen, through his hard work, he's getting back on the score sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what he brings. Lima isn't the guy that's going to give you 20, 30 goals a season. That's not why we got him. He's the guy he works well with a good partnership, and he will score when he has a chance.
So he works hard on the field also. Lima goes on the left, he goes on the right, he makes crosses, he makes passes, he works hard. He works. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a tweet here by Peggy. Let me just find it real quick.
Peggy's upset that we're drinking Superboc and Asags. Well, Peggy, both of them. Peggy, I got a brilliant idea, brother. It's simple. I'm gonna give you my address. Mail me over a case or a couple of cases of Sagres, and we'll drink them throughout the next couple of podcasts.
And Peggy says Benfica cannot get sucked into any sort of physical battle with Braga. Keep the ball circulating and stretch them. What do you think? Obviously, if this game gets physical, guys get thrown out. It's not good for Benfica.
Well, the one thing is this: Gaetan is on the pitch, and that's the one thing that gives me confidence that they'll be able to spread the game out.
Yeah.
They'll be able to play the ball down the wings because we saw in previous games, Braga is very, very physical in the center of the midfield, man. That's the one question where that we've had for majority of the year. I mean, at some point I was not crazy, still I'm not. I mean, the guys definitely picked up his game. I should say both Pizzi and Samaris, but that's still a position that in a lot of these games that Benfica goes up against the quality teams, that there's a question mark as to whether Benfica has an advantage at that position in the majority of these games. So, Braga will be physical. They have the quality of players that could absolutely not just play with the ball at their feet, but they could catch Benfica sleeping and napping, catch them on a counter and score goals because they've done that in the two previous games. So I don't think it'd be any different.
I think Sergio agrees with you. He says on his tweet, Nico Gaetan will need to be on his A game. We expect to win this match. Everything will run through Nico, and he'll be the key. Steve, for you, what are some of the keys for this game as far as the way we should play to win this game?
You guys are all on the right points. There's certain aspects of our game that make us strong or that make us a better team. The Gaetan connection, it's there. He's the most influential player we have. How he is able to pick up the ball in the right areas is what's going to really help us. You've noticed lately he's showing up a lot in the middle. He's allowing the left to be vacant. If it's for Eliseu to attack, if it's for Pizzi to pop up in, it doesn't matter. He's pushing a lot more to the middle than he has in the past. I think that, plus if we could isolate Salvio a little bit, I know it's going to be difficult because Thiago Gomes that plays on the right-hand side is just as strong and just as fast as Salvio is, and that he normally struggles with defenders like that. But I think we could probably get the better of him if we can get him 1v1, because Braga is going to do everything they can to make sure that he's never 1v1. So some fast switches from left to right to get that 1v1 is another area that I see us getting some joy from them. And then the more often that you can get Jonas on the ball and let him do what makes him the extraordinary player that he is, those nice touches, the feeding the ball into Gaetan or to Lima, that's super important. And if we're going to be stretching them at all, it's got to be Lima, because Lima's movement across the front line is what really helps us stretch opponents out, because we don't really offer too much width on the left because Eliseu is not really the bombing fullback that we expected him to be, and Gaetan kind of drifts inside. So most of the width that we're going to get is from Lima kind of switching flanks to the left and from the middle and all that. So there's, for me, I think it's four key players that we have. Those attacking four that were really, really good against Estoril. If we can get that kind of movement from them against Braga, I think we have a very good chance of scoring and creating lots of chances.
Yeah, America, what do you think? Some of the
agree with Steve. I think we can go to play Braga and talk about individually. I think collectively we go in and we win the game.
I agree with Sergio. Cool ass name, Jafust. Nico Gaetan will need to be on his game. You mentioned that one before. Never mind. I apologize. Go back. Retract. Braga will grind us down in the midfield. They will play us like it's their champion. The middle will dictate the game.
No doubt.
Agree 1,000%.
Absolutely.
And no, Mina, Andre Almeida should not start a left back. Give Papseco a chance, because this guy, the reason why he plays, and to answer you, Americo, getting back on Papseco, Eliseu here, I absolutely believe the only reason why this guy plays is because he actually gives you something going forward. And say what you want about the guy defensively, but with the ball at his feet, he's got a cannon of a left foot. And that's why he plays.
You know why? Because Malaga used to play left mid.
Him and Duda, they both switch back and forth, yes.
Yeah. and Mike DaCosta. Criteria of the referee as it comes to fouls and handing out of cards may be the key as well. Ref in Braga was lenient. What do you guys think of that?
Very good point. Very, very good point. That was a brutal matchup at the Pedreira. I do not believe that the ref will let him get away with so much at the Luz. I just think he'll feel the pressure of the crowd, and the first ugly tackle from any of the Braga players is going to be whistled and howled, and I know it's not exactly the right way about going around things, but I bet that's going to influence his decision going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I remember from the game that the sole to the face, the sole of a boot to the face of Talisca, along with a couple other tough tackles that deserved the straight red, and that weren't even called or even fouls or whatever. But yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, if I remember right, Mikael could have got sent off twice, and then I think he stayed on the pitch, if I remember correctly.
So I don't know. It's going to be tough. As many of you know, Cristiano and I are hoping to be at the game this weekend, and hopefully meet up some of you at the Eusébio Statua and enjoy. Hopefully it'll be a victory. We're not traveling from the USA for nothing. But for me, it's an important game, and Cristiano, I don't think we can do any worse than Porto did against Braga this past weekend.
I mean, come on.
And Porto won. We got to go and win too.
Oh, I mean, that's without a doubt. I mean, 100%. Benfica has aspirations of winning the Bicampeonato. They have the obligation of winning every single game, not just the Braga game, a Porto game, but every single game, because that's what champions do. And Benfica absolutely will come out this weekend, and hopefully, will be the good luck charms. By the way, I just want to throw out for all the females out there, the 25th female to approach me, I'll give you a Benfica, signed T-shirt.
You're always offering stuff to people.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get 25. I'm just trying to get 25 girls to come up to me. I mean,
you're gonna be keeping a count. You're gonna be keeping a counter in your back pocket.
I'm having a little ticker.
Click them out.
I'm having a little ticker. Click. But no.
That's classic.
Hey, I figured. Listen, I offered a signed Benfica podcast T-shirt for the 1,000th follower. Seems like nobody wants it, so maybe the females will want it at the start of the Luz this weekend.
Yeah, and big shout out to Simba 242
from Lion King,
Mrs. Mota. I'm sure she's watching it with Mario, and big shout out to Cynthia. That's right. We haven't had Mario on for a long time, and she says that every team goes absolutely batshit against Benfica, and also that if every team played each other like they play Benfica, then the league would be a very good league. And I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not even reading the tweet directly. But yeah, very good point, Cynthia, sorry.
Good job. I believe she tweeted at me that she had a Nintendo. Also.
She had a Nintendo also?
Yes. There is. She's like, when I mentioned the whole Nintendo, she said, "Hey, I'm not old, and I had an Atari and the NES."
I remember playing. You know what game I remember playing on the Nintendo? 10-Yard Fight.
I only played Mike Tyson. I only played Mike Tyson knockout. But listen, this Cynthia, Mrs. Mota here, Mario's wife, she must be some real badass here on PlayStation. Jesus Christ, on Nintendo, because she used to beat Cameroon 28-0.
Wow.
So she must be some type of badass.
Is that a Cameroon with Roger Mila or without Roger Mila?
No, that was the time.
This is in the 80s. Roger Mila's still there.
It was the time that all the players were for the Benfica players.
Roger Mila was still there. But listen, we always like to do this, Alfredo. We throughout the day we let our loyal followers and our loyal listeners have an opportunity to come out and post some questions for us, and we'll try to answer them to the best of our knowledge. And so here's a question from Miss Loyal, Meg. Lovers
out of time.
Jesus, lovers out of time. Okay, by the way, before I get to the question, I like the fact that Timo and Nelson and there, I recommend that you guys shorten your Twitter handles, and you guys did a phenomenal job. So, Meg, this lover's out of time. I'm not sure about it. Just my input. You don't have to listen to me. Now, question: which on-loan player do you look forward to see return to Benfica and become a first-team player next season? Go ahead, Steve. Get first crack at it.
Ivan Cavaleiro.
All right.
Americo.
Ivan Cavaleiro is a good option.
Yeah. Which guy that's out on loan are you looking forward to coming back and having a play? having a role in his team.
Yeah, even Cavalieri is a good option. What about the other kid that plays for Coruña also?
For Coruña.
Farina.
Yeah, I heard he has a great chance. I heard that guy will have a big impact next year in the midfield.
Yeah.
What about you, Alfredo? For me, it's easy.
Elder Costa, Ivan Cavalieri.
Right, which one you like? Which one you look
They're not going to bring them all.
No, man, it's tough. For me, it's very tough. Forget Cancelo. I'm done with Cancelo.
Well, Cancelo, you might need him back because this whole crap with Moxie. Why? Because he's talking positive about Braga?
because he said
Braga,
because
Valencia.
he said that he wouldn't mind staying at Valencia.
But what do we expect the guy to say?
No, but the guys like that's no good, you know.
Okay, so then who's the player? She wanted to know the player. She didn't want to know anything else.
I don't know. If I had to give it some thought, Ivan Cavaleiro, yes, I would like Ivan Cavaleiro.
For me, it's easy.
Go ahead.
Easy, bro. I'm surprised none of you guys talked about him yet.
Bebe.
Bernardo Silva.
Oh,
Get out of here.
Man, hold on,
Good,
man.
Why you gotta?
You have to bring that back.
You know that's a touchy subject, man. I was sour for about 3 weeks because of Bernardo Silva.
Yo, you guys crack on Bebe, but let me tell you something. Bebe's doing his thing at Cordova, bro. He's doing his thing. You know, he actually forget about Giles. Who wants to talk about that Bautista?
Out at night.
Bebe,
both of them.
Yo, but Bebe actually looks like a soccer player now. Where at Benfica, we had our questions, we had our doubts. Sure enough, Steve, he looks like a player now.
I haven't watched him, but he could stay at Cordova.
Yeah, he could stay at Cordova. He looks more like a guy that could do the triple jump with Nelson Elvira than a freaking soccer player.
I didn't say that I didn't say that Benfica needs to bring him back. I just said that he actually looks like a soccer player now.
No, you could stay there.
He looks like he's probably their best player. He dominated against Real Madrid, and I'm not saying I want him back, guys. I'm just making a point that this guy actually looks like if he gets some playing time, maybe he should stay out there another season after this to develop. He actually looks like a player where I had my doubts as to whether this guy is a professional soccer player or a player that should play at the level, obviously the big clubs in Portugal.
You got to look at the point of view of the coach and this matter. You know, we talked before. You said like if you play a player like Almeida or that is not Ruben Amorim is not in shape to play him in that game. You don't think sometimes it's a lack of confidence. Look, you got this game. You imagine what goes on in the locker room. This guy he prepares the player. Look, this is your chance. This is it's a tough game. I think that, and then if you guys look all the big teams in Europe, they do the same thing. You see Mourinho doing that constantly with the young guys and just.
I have no idea what you're talking about, man. No idea what you're talking about. Maybe I just had too many to drink. Who are you talking about, Bebe?
No, I'm talking about in general.
In general.
Talking about players, man. He's talking about a player.
The guys that go out. You're talking about the guys that go out.
Talking about a player like Bebe, players that come to Benfica don't get an opportunity, never develop, and yet you see them go out on loan, and they're finally given a chance by the coach and the technical staff. These players are able to show that they're quality players.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. But then that goes back to Benfica. Why we go get so many guys if we don't need them? Why did we go get Bebe? Yeah. Do we really need Bebe?
No, but that's the Benfica thing, man.
Benfica, do we need to get what's his name? Derlei? Do we need to get Derlei?
No, but the one thing we've seen about Benfica, and I touched on this a while back. I believe like the first couple of pods I did here, Benfica podcast, I mentioned it. Benfica seems like they always want to jump in front and be the first to get that player that will eventually develop, or the other thing that really pisses me off, it seems like they want to sign a Bebe before he moves to a Sporting or a Porto. It seems like there's a competition there. Yeah. Benfica at some point had 114 players in the contract.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Think about that. For a team that needs to have 23 and dress 18, they had 114. What for? Why not sell 90? Not 90, obviously, the numbers have to match up, but that's about right. But why not sell 80 of those guys, okay? And the money and the salaries that you're investing in these guys, go out and spend that money to get quality players. There's no need for 100 players.
No, I agree, but it's like you said, Chris. I think that there's a race to getting a guy or to prevent a guy that could have some potential down the road.
We saw it with Hugo Vieira, guy Gil Vicente.
That's the guy.
Never even played. The guy from Nacional. Never even played. The guy that we signed, the midfielder from Nacional, never even played. The guy we signed from Braga last year, I believe, right? Or Marítimo, the left defender. Who do we sign?
Javan.
Another guy, never even put on the shirt. We see countless guys. Benfica goes out, invests money, whether they get them on a free or they invest money, a couple million, couple thousand, 100,000 euros, whatever, to get these players. There's still money being wasted. on these players for no reason.
That's
Chris,
that's
Chris.
another pot altogether.
Follow.
I thought we gave up trying to figure out their transfer strategy because it doesn't make sense to us 90% of the time.
No sense at all. And I totally agree with Americo here. When there's guys there that signed for our club and that have hopes and dreams of being able to give a fair shake, and they're not really given a fair shake. So when they go elsewhere, it's like they got a new lease on life.
What did we just see with the, I believe, Polish soccer player? Who was it that just came out last week and he was complaining because he was never given a chance at Benfica, Steve? He's a striker, I believe. It was all over it was all over at the ball. They were talking about. He was mad. He was like, I had aspirations of playing with Benfica and actually getting called. I wanted to sign for Benfica.
No,
he
it
never
was the
gave me a
kid.
chance.
We snatched up from Bayern, I think. Maybe.
Oh, the German kid. The German kid. Yeah, I can't remember.
We're German. Whatever. One or Polish, German. Same thing.
He had a crazy name.
He's in Poland now, I think.
He might be in Poland. That's what it is. He was upset because he never got a call up.
Well, the same thing with Juricic. He said that everybody liked him except JJ.
Yeah, he's always played everyone except JJ.
What's funny though is he still managed to pay JJ a compliment and say that he's the best tactician that he's worked with.
What do you think he's gonna say, Steve? He knows he's coming back in July. What do you think he's gonna say? F the guy. He's gonna pull who's the player that who's the dude that cannot see eye to eye with Jorge Jesus? Nelson Oliveira. You think he's gonna pull? Come on. He's gonna pull Nelson Oliveira.
And Meg, to answer your question, I think Rui Font would be nice.
Yannick. Mario brings up Yannick, another guy. Benfica went out and signed this guy. Another guy that Benfica signed for no reason. What for? To loan him to San Jose Earthquake. Now he's in Russia, wherever the hell he's at.
Now he's on San Jose, I believe.
No, he's in Russia.
He went to Russia.
He's gone again.
He's in Russia. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I just think that if we don't need guys, I think that we shouldn't sign them. I think first of all, maybe we should be saving a little bit more money to
it's
pay
kind
some
of
high wages or buy a guy.
It's kind of like what I've been saying all along about the modalidades.
Don't start with this.
Stop wasting money on that crap. Stop wasting money on all these players that are never going to play with the A team and invest money on a quality. Go out and maybe you could sign $8 million players, $10 million players. They can't do that now.
Yeah, but an $80 million player means that his salary is going to be high also.
But now you're paying a salary of 114 guys. It's about the same thing.
It washes off. It washes out. I understand. I completely understand. I completely understand.
All right, follow you, Steve.
Here's another one from Sergio. We purposely cast a wide net by buying up Luizinhos, another guy, the world, with hopes of getting that one gem like Pizzi. I don't know about Pizzi being a gem, dude. I think you're reaching there.
Pizzi might not be a gem, but
I think if you said David Luiz, maybe.
Yeah, that's a gem. But you can watch Pizzi play.
Di Maria is a gem.
Yes. Well, Di Maria came with a lot of fame already.
Yeah, but Di Maria was labeled. I don't know how he snatched Di Maria.
David Luiz was a nobody. Pizzi though versus Luizinho and Bebe, you watch one game, you know that Pizzi's on a different level towards the other two. I can see where you're going with that. It's just a bad analogy. I just want Sergio asked another thing earlier, which I think was pretty interesting. Agree or disagree? Nico is our most important player since Aymar.
Peraí, pá.
As much as I love Aymar, I absolutely love Aymar. The guy was always hurt, man. How important was he?
He's a different position.
I know, I'm just joking.
I don't. There's guys that are definitely game makers. Aymar was one of them when he was healthy.
He was a game changer.
The guy came. He sweated class. Class came out of his pores. The guy was just above everyone else that I've ever seen play at Benfica in this modern era. And when I talk about modern era, I talk about JJ's reign, the past 6 years. Gaetan is definitely influential, but don't forget the past 3-4 years of Gaetan have been very up and down, inconsistent.
That's the reason why a player of his class with his Ginga has lasted 5.5 years in Portugal.
Absolutely,
it's got to be the only reason because his game is too up and down. And we saw now not just the fact that he was out injured for a month and a half, whatever the hell it was, but Argentina didn't give him a call up again because of that. The guy, as good as he is on any given night, you could see a game where he's very keen, very important in the game, and absolutely changes the game. But even in a game like that, you see where he goes missing for 20 minutes at a time. We saw this week when Benfica in the first half, the guy didn't touch the ball for the first 10 minutes or whatever. It's too much of that with Nico Gaetan that leaves too many questions to be asked with his performance and what kind of quality of player, and that's the reason why I believe he's so important.
Yeah.
He was in the right game.
He might be out at the end of the summer. Don't get me wrong, or at the beginning of the summer, whatever. He might be out, but as to why he's still there now, it's because of that.
Yeah, but I mean, we often also think about offensive players when we think about difference makers. But what about Matic, man? You can't underplay the role that Matic played in this team the past.
Yeah, but
year and a
Matic.
half.
See, the thing with Matic is he leaves and we're still champions. So you
No, but I
have.
understand, but the guy was crucial.
You know who's crucial? And this is a guy that is overlooked time and time again, but yet he's been here for 13 years. He's an absolute rock.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Luizão.
You gave it up when you said 13 years.
I know, but that's a guy that's crucial. That's a guy that's
it was
important.
a trick question. Then you threw in the 13 years
Because I didn't want anybody Timos in the world and Nelsons to think for a second I was talking about Jardel. You know what I mean? I didn't want them to get confused, you know?
Yeah, most important players, technically gifted, Aymar and Gaetan are up there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Important players, Enzo and Matic, I think, are way more important than either of those guys.
Even Javi Garcia at one point.
Short-lived, but yeah.
Not as important.
Witzel, I would say.
Witzel, he had a huge, for that
awesome.
1 year, Witzel had a huge impact. Same thing, all the guys we just mentioned, Matic, that core, the center of the midfield with the Enzos, Matiches, and even Javi Garcia. Javi Garcia, people don't understand how great this guy was. It gave Benfica's midfield so much freedom because the guy was a tractor in that midfield. He was a one-man wrecking crew that absolutely would cut every other team's, counterattacks. The guy was magnificent. There's a reason why you sold for $30 million to Manchester City.
Even Ramirez, man.
Ramirez was two players in one with what he could do.
He was brutal. Ramirez was brutal, man.
Guinness or whatever it was called.
We had a lot of options on that.
Okay, well, the same thing. Guinness is Africa.
Guinness.
It's Africa.
Guinness. What country is that from, Guinness?
Guinea, bro.
Guinea-Bissau.
Oh, so it's like
That's the reason me.
and Guinness.
Yo, this guy, that's the reason me. He doesn't even know about a country enough. Marco, educate this guy, bro.
The guy was known for running endless. That's gotta be an African guy.
Enzo's Guinness from Africa.
When you think of marathon runners, you think of what? Ethiopia and Kenya. Those
him.
guys that run away from the lions.
Steve, maybe you should tell him that's what I was trying to say, but I got the country wrong. I understand. The marathon runners, they're all from Kenya.
From Kenya.
And I just mixed it up. Guinea, Kenya is Africa, bro. Same thing.
Hey, same thing.
Oh my God.
Hey, no offense to our friend Marco. Shout out to Marco.
They all run after gazelles, bro. That's why they're all quick.
Wait, after or
Jesus.
from?
Chasing gazelles.
It's getting out of hand.
Now
It's getting way out of hand, boys.
Why? What am I saying? That's why those guys are great marathon runners.
Okay.
That's Marco. Marco chases his lion around the backyard every week.
He told us that for a fact.
He told us that. See, exactly.
All
right. I think we got all.
over there. It's flowing.
Steve, you got anything else, Steve?
No, I'm good. I think we're set to go.
I have some breaking news.
Uh-oh, here comes Steve. It's Steve's internet rules.
No, this has nothing to do with Steve today. This is more of a shot at our good buddy Timo, and I wanted to tell you, man. I hope you enjoyed the time with Revis Island because he's leaving.
Whoa!
Coming back home. Coming back home.
There's a rule on this podcast: no American sports.
Come
Yo,
on,
stop.
man.
Yo, bro, don't say that on my podcast, all right? No American.
It's
What are we, anti-America all of a sudden? I don't want Obama and the
It's a
NSA
football
whatever to
podcast.
start chasing us. Okay.
Let me tell you something.
There's son.
Michelle and I, we listened to the Benfica podcast
Oh wait, now we're cracking on the president here. Jesus, I
And
hope
we
you guys
enjoy it.
enjoyed it.
because we talk about soccer and soccer only.
Yeah. And with that,
Next
good
week,
evening,
my-
ladies and gentlemen. See you next week.
Steve, next week it'll be my internet that's not working.
Obama has cut it down. The Secret Service. Well, all right. I think that's about it. We want to thank Americo
My pleasure.
a lot for coming on. And actually, Cristiano and I were at a wake where we met Americo.
No, we didn't meet America. We've known America for like 20 years.
Yeah, we've known America for quite some time, but we saw America at a wake, and we were sitting there, and there's people crying in a corner, and people, sharing their emotions about the person that had passed, and me and Cristiano are in a corner with America showing them videos of our
Not
podcast
just America. We had
on our phone.
all our former teammates in the corner.
It was a former teammates of ours. Chico.
Yeah, but all of our teammates were in the corner
Right.
talking about Benfica podcast. And what
Yeah,
goes on.
no disrespect to
Great
to
guy,
the person
great
that
guy.
passed, and I looked up to him. He was a great guy. But anyway, Americo, thank you very much
Thank you, guys.
for
The Super
for
Bowl.
being here, for bringing the Super Bowl. Next time, you already know, bring socks.
Easy opener. That's why.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah. We didn't need a bottle
The
opener.
meanest.
Cristiano, anything you
Fala
want
aí,
to
menino. No, I just wanted to get that out the way. I wanted to, send my little message to Timo, or Timo. And, obviously want to thank once again all our loyal listeners, our loyal followers. Man, you guys do a great job. Keep it coming. We do this for you guys week in and week out. As much fun as it is to sit here and talk crap to Steve and Alfredo, and you guys know just how much I love to talk crap.
Yeah.
It's fun to do it for you guys as well, and your interaction makes it all worth it. So.
Yeah. Big shout out to the 8-9 people that were watching us live doing this. We really appreciate it. We appreciate, like Cristiano says, we appreciate all the interaction. It's really nice. And thank you very much for checking us out. And we'll talk again next week. Cristiano and I are hoping to do kind of something special at Stadio Luz this weekend when we're there.
Yeah, hopefully.
So hopefully we'll also publish that, and should be fun. And looking forward to seeing
While
the
we
people
eat
that
some
were
sardinhas.
looking forward to seeing some of the people there. And
be funnish.
I don't like big funners, man. They got to be well done.
Obviously winning the game also. Thank you very much. Next week we'll be back. We'll recap the Braga game, and we'll look ahead to the next game, which I don't know what it is, and I didn't bother looking.
I think it's Rio Ave.
Rio Ave. There we go,
Yeah.
Steve. Steve's on the ball. I'm glad Steve's on the ball. See you, everybody.
Arrivederci.
Ciao.
Good night.